So, are you like me that you've tried at times to lose weight and it just wasn't very successful, or maybe you needed to start a exercise program and that wasn't successful? In other words, you needed to make some kind of change in your life, but it's somewhere along you got kind of hung up with it. Well, there's probably a lot of reasons behind that. But I want to share with you a model that I think is just absolutely wonderful. Actually, my cousin Rita told me about this model. It's called Adkar, Adkar, and a lot of organizations use it when they're going through change management. But I'm going to relate this to us in a personal light a little bit. Works both ways. So years ago, I went to the doctor for a back issue, and I ended up coming out with the diagnosis of having MS. And so that clearly scared, the daylights out of me, having gotten a diagnosis with such a severe disease. But now that I look back on it, I really was following this model and I didn't even know it. So the first part of the model is called a awareness. Awareness that you have something going on. Well, I went to the doctor and he told me all about it, all the pieces of the disease of what could potentially happen. So I was very aware of what would happen if I didn't manage the disease, or what could potentially happen if I didn't manage the disease. So the second piece is called desire. Desire of the changes that I was going to need to go through. Did I have the desire to do those changes? In other words, what was in it for me? What did I have to do? That's usually what we think about when we go through changes. Not what am I going to gain by it, but what are the changes that I have to make in going through it? And so I thought about that. My gosh, the desire. Did I have the desire to always walk? Of course. Of course, right? So I had the desire to make the changes that I was going to have to go through. I was aware what would happen if I didn't make the changes, or what could potentially happen. And again, I had the desire to make those changes. And both of those steps, those first two steps, are all about attitude, all about how you look at it. Not everybody looks at it the same way because attitudes might look slightly different. I have another friend that also has MS, and they really didn't have the desire to go through the changes that they were going to need to go through. So they didn't. The next piece, we've got awareness, we've got desire. The next piece is knowledge. So where did I get my knowledge about the disease? Well, I got it from all over the place, right? It's the internet is just tethered with ideas with that. It's just a plethora of ideas out there with MS. So I was reading it and reading, and I will say, in a caution, I think sometimes is too much knowledge can be a little bit dangerous. It can scare you. So I would also, I joined the group, the MS group, and I found out more and more about it. So I gained a lot of knowledge around the disease itself. The next piece is ability. Did I have the ability to make the changes that I need to? In other words, did I have the ability to give myself a shot every night? Did I have the ability to make certain that I was taking, the certain vitamins? And of course, I had the ability to do it. And then finally, the reinforcement piece. So reinforcement is really, are you successful with what you're doing? So, for example, with that one, am I going to make it stick on what I'm doing? Absolutely I am. Because I'm living a healthy life, even though I have a terrible disease. So now let's go through that same scenario a little bit in regards to just, say, losing weight. You go to the doctor, they say that, you're overweight and it's starting to affect, let's say, your blood pressure. So you're very aware. You're also very aware if you don't make changes in your diet, what it's going to do, how it's going to impact your lifestyle. Second step to it is desire. Do you have the desire to make those changes? Well, here's the deal with that particular one. You know what the changes might be? Giving up that Twinkie, giving up, that 6-pack of beer, whatever it is that you're doing, you're going to have to make a change in your lifestyle to lose that weight. And a lot of people stop there because they just don't want to make that change. But let's say you do. So you have the desire. Now, where do you gain the knowledge? Again, you read articles, you read books, you talk to people, you get in support groups, you gain all the knowledge around it. But oftentimes that's where people stop too, is they don't go on to now the next step, which says ability, which actually means applying it. Are you going to apply this now? Are you going to actually really do it? Because you can have all the knowledge in the world and yet not apply it. It's not going to work for you. And then the final step, reinforce it. How do you reinforce it? It might be the fact that people start saying things to you. You notice it. You're able to tie your shoes again. You're breathing better. So you're seeing success. In a corporation, it might be that your boss notices it, starts giving you positive feedback. But in any event, what we look at in changes is that we look at it of how it's going to affect us. We don't look at it for the greater good. You know, when we went through the COVID, it was the same exact thing. We went through every single step. Awareness of wearing the masks, the desire to make certain that we kept our social distancing so that we wouldn't catch the disease. Knowledge, I mean, every time you turn the TV on, we were being bombarded with what to do. Ability, we all had the ability to wear masks, buy masks, wash our hands. And finally, the reinforcement, COVID has gone down. So no matter how big or how small that change is that we're going through, this is just an incredible model. I use it in my personal life, and I also use it when I'm doing one-on-one coaching with people. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that you can, use that model as you're moving forward and making changes in your life. All right. So have a good one. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.